Inside were instructions, coded medical phrasing, specific procedures, and subtle warnings. Her eyes scanned the contents and her stomach turned. The second envelope, the one from the palace, held a message in pristine calligraphy. You will attend the royal welcome. Her Excellency will expect a private consultation before the child is born. Do not disappoint her. The doctor swallowed hard. Back in room 302, Anelle was still holding the ultrasound photo. Jihoon had wiped her belly clean, and they were laughing quietly about baby names and what their son might look like. But outside the room, something had already been set in motion. Something dark. The towering glass headquarters of Han Group stood like a blade of ambition cutting into the Seoul skyline. But when Jihoon stepped out of the executive elevator, the entire floor quieted. He was back. Jihoon carried an effortless authority. His steps were firm, his posture upright. Yet behind his polished exterior, his thoughts drifted to Anel's swollen belly, to the image of their son's profile still imprinted in his mind. Daejun, his father's name, his son's legacy. Vice Chairman, one of the assistants, greeted him with a respectful bow. The board is waiting. He nodded once, crisp. Let's begin. Around the long table sat 12 high-level investors. The chief financial officer began with numbers. The Q2 reports show a 17% rise in international revenue. Our German merger continues to outperform projections. Jihoon nodded as charts flickered across the large screen. We expect the Seoul satellite project to go live within the next 6 months, the CTO added. But Jihoon wasn't fully listening, not because the numbers weren't important, but because his instincts were sharper than ever. As the room discussed global expansion, Jihoon's hand tapped lightly on the table, an unconscious rhythm born of tension. His mind split. Boardroom and battlefield. He finally cut through the discussion with a calm, clear voice. What we need now is resilience, not just expansion. Restructuring without purpose is just noise. All heads turned. Jihoon looked around the table, eyes sharp. Han Group isn't chasing size. We're building legacy. His gaze lingered on one older investor, Min-jae's cousin, seated at the far end. And I will not let what we're building be diluted for short-term press or palace politics. The room froze. When the meeting adjourned, polite applause followed him out. But as he walked down the hallway, while talking to Anelle, he picked her up to go for photo shooting. Just those few hours he missed her dearly. Jihoon couldn't concentrate. He smiled as she stepped into the car looking so swollen and beautiful. Taeho sat in his study back in Seoul. He leaned forward, scrolling his phone aimlessly, pausing at the messages that had never been returned. Still nothing from Nihal. Not an email. Not even a hello. And yet, she had smiled at him that night in Munich, like something had been unlocked. Something soft and rare. Something real. He stared at the screen for a while, then tapped her contact. Blocked. The word hit like a quiet slap. His jaw clenched, breath caught in his throat. Had he been wrong about what passed between them? Was he just imagining it? Or had she just decided not to believe it? He stood suddenly and walked to the coat rack. His hand slipped into the inside pocket of his camel overcoat. He wasn't even thinking, and then paused. His fingers touched the edge of a card. The cafe's card. Not her number, but the cafe's landline and address printed cleanly beneath the logo. He had barely noticed it that day. Taeho blinked, then smiled faintly, almost in disbelief. He walked back to his desk, sat down slowly, and dialed the cafe's number. It rang. Once, twice, 3 times. No answer. He didn't leave a message. He didn't even know what he'd say, but he imagined her there, rushing past the counter, carrying a tray, maybe tucking that same strand of hair behind her ear when she thought no one noticed. He turned the card in his hand, the address staring back at him. Maybe she just needs time. The queen sat at the head, regal in her black silk hanbok. Around her, 5 royal elders, stoic, robed, ancient, listened as she spoke with measured precision. She carries his child, a boy. If that child is born, it changes the line, she said coldly. One elder leaned forward. Your Majesty, it is still early. A plan? No plan is too early when the future of the kingdom is at stake, she snapped. A murmur passed between the council. She must not give birth. Not here. Not under our crown. Just then, the tall doors at the end of the chamber groaned open. A gust of air swept in, and with it, the prince. All heads turned as he entered, flanked by two guards, but needing no fanfare. He walked calmly to the center of the room and stood before the queen's chair. Your Majesty, he said with a calm that was heavier than rage, you will not continue this meeting? The queen's face remained cold, but tension lit her eyes. The prince turned to the elders. You speak of Jihoon as if he is a threat, a stain, a danger to our bloodline. He stepped closer, voice rising. But let me tell you who Jihoon is. The room stilled. He is the man who offered me his own bone marrow when the palace physician said I had no match. I would not be breathing. None of you would be standing here speaking with me now if Jihoon had not nearly died to save my life. If you ever move against Jihoon again, you will lose more than your power. You will lose me. She stared at him for a long, trembling second, then turned and walked away without a word. But later that night, in her private writing room, beneath the hidden floor tile, the queen lit a single candle. She pulled out a second letter, sealed, addressed to a doctor. Her eyes gleamed with quiet resolve. If she could not control the palace with force, she would do it in silence and blood. Interlude, a second appointment, a hidden plan. 1 week had passed since the ultrasound. Then the call came. This is Dr. Yoon's office, said the nurse on the line. We'd like to see Anelle for a follow-up checkup. Nothing urgent, just standard prenatal care. They arrived the next afternoon. Dr. Yoon greeted them warmly, her smile calm and professional. It's nothing alarming, she reassured, scanning Anelle's chart. But we noticed some fluctuation in your last blood pressure reading. I just want to be extra careful, especially since you're close to term. After the ultrasound, which appeared normal, she handed Anelle a small pill in a tiny white cup. This will help ease your sleep tonight. It's mild, just to relax your body and balance pressure, she said. Jihoon hesitated. Is it safe? He asked, eyes narrowing slightly. Dr. Yoon nodded without flinching. Completely safe. It's often given to full-term mothers. Helps with swelling, improves rest. Anelle took the pill. Jihoon relaxed only slightly. He trusted his instincts, but the baby was due any day, and the doctor had never raised a red flag before. They thanked her and left. Back at the hospital that night, in Dr. Yoon's private office, she sat at her desk, sealed envelope in hand. No technology, no call, no digital trail. She removed her pen and wrote in fine traditional ink on palace stationery. Your Grace, the procedure is in motion. Labor will begin within hours. She will be admitted under my shift. Room 217, private floor. She will be alone. The letter was folded, wax-sealed, and slipped into the courier's hand. By dawn, it would reach the queen. It was 2:47 a.m. She clutched her belly, eyes flying open as a deep, twisting pain radiated through her spine and abdomen. Her breath caught. Another wave hit. She let out a low cry and gripped the sheets. Jihoon stirred beside her. Anelle, she gasped. Gee, it hurts. Oh God, it's happening. He bolted upright. The baby, she nodded, tears in her eyes. The pain, it's real. It's not just cramps.